Francisco, thank you for sharing what you guys have going on in New Mexico with us. My name is Nick Futrell with Texas Mutual Insurance, and I've got the distinct pleasure of introducing Commissioner Laura Ryan to you. But before she comes up here, I'd like to give you a little bit of background on her. She was appointed by the Governor Greg Abbott July 11th, 2016 to fill a vacancy and reappointed March 2nd of 2017 and confirmed April 19th of 2017 for a 6-year term. She immediately distinguished herself as a road safety advocate on the commission. She is president and founder of GX2 Partners, a leadership and strategy consulting firm. She spent most of her 25-year corporate career in executive, and C-suite positions for a broad range of professional industries, providing leadership experience in both B2B and B2C business. Her diverse experience comes from working with OEMs such as Nissan, Toyota, retail dealership groups, and international ownership, financial service companies, and innovative startups looking to enter new industries. She sits on the board of Child Advocates Houston. Child Advocates recruits, trains, and supports volunteers who provide a voice for children in foster care by providing life-saving advocacy that helps abused and neglected children exit foster care to a safe and permanent home. She's an avid learner and student of both business and leadership. She attended Penn State University and executive education programs at the University of Texas and Columbia University Business School. She is married with 2 children and currently lives in Cypress, Texas. If you would please help me welcome Commissioner Laura Ryan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and it was good to hear the speakers before me talk about safety. It's also amazing that there is an organization with a diverse group of partners that are focused on just specifically road safety. So I'm honored to be able to be here because it is definitely something that's very important to me. I'd like to thank the Permian Road Safety Coalition for the invitation. I'm going to move this just a little bit. The work the coalition is doing is vitally important to the Permian Basin. And this morning, I'd like to be able to share how the work that the coalition is doing really aligns directly with the work that TxDOT's doing. I'm also excited and honored to have been asked to participate in the inaugural Road Safety Champions Award ceremony, which will be just in a few minutes. These awards recognize drivers, first responders, and programs that make a positive difference on road safety inside the Permian Basin. Those efforts tie directly to the work that TxDOT is doing to end the streak. For anyone that's not aware, and I think you are because we've talked about it already, but End the Streak is our campaign that TxDOT does under all other campaigns to start to create awareness about the deadly streak that just Monday will be 22 years. And we haven't had a death-free day in Texas in 22 years. And that is something that it's not a streak we're proud of and we want to be able to end. So a lot of people ask, why is this important to you? Have you been impacted directly? And the reality is I'm probably like a lot of you, and this information went right over my head. It went in one ear and out another at a certain point in life. And we talk about road safety and we talk about the laws. And when I joined the commission in 2016, right about this time, our communications team would give us signs that say End the Streak. And they told me that was the campaign that we were going to start over the next month because of November 7th. And I took the picture and I thought to myself and even said out loud, this is horrible. But I didn't do anything about it and went on to the next year. Well, the next year I was asked to speak at a Lifesavers conference in San Antonio. It was a national conference and welcome a group. And over time, I continue to see the stats. We approved a safety plan. And I welcomed everyone that was there to focus on making our roads safer. And it was at this conference on a Sunday morning. Not sure why it hit me, but one of the videos that was brought And I listened to a lot of the people that had been impacted. But one of the videos showed a gentleman being interviewed, kind of a road on the street, a reporter on the street. And the reporter asked this normal-looking guy, hey, how many people is okay to die on our roads every year? It's an interesting question, right? What's okay? And the guy kind of said, I don't know, maybe 70. And just about that time in this video, the camera turns, and of course it's a public safety awareness video, and down an alley comes a group of people, old, young, tall, all different shapes and sizes, ages. And the camera comes back and you can see the guy kind of tear up. And he goes, that's my family. And the reporter said, no, that's 70 people. And for some reason it hit me that could be my family, right? These weren't just numbers that we were talking about when we say the word fatality. And I came back to the commission and showed that video, and every month for 5 years, I spoke about all the different reasons and the horrible things that were going on our roads, and it became very personal. And at that point, that Sunday morning, I decided that I couldn't not do anything, and I had to take ownership. So, a lot of people say, well, one person can do something. Well, one person can do something because we have a voice. So that's why this is important to me. And it's why I continue to talk about it. So on that's the story of why I continue to talk about safety. And I share that story because I really hope that everybody finds that epiphany moment and makes this really personal. I have a feeling because you're here this morning, you all have already found that moment. But that's the background story. So figure out what it is that turns you and hold that and share that story to help other people find their moment. So on that, as before we get into too much safety, I also want to talk about the importance of the Permian Basin. The energy sector is vital to our Texas community. Our TxDOT districts in this region invest resources, and you heard Eric talk about that just a little bit ago, and support the energy sector's needs and accommodate the increasing demand on our roads and highways. As one of the world's largest oil and gas producing regions, the Permian Basin presents unique challenges to us and our transportation system. One example of those challenges is the increased truck traffic on the area's largely rural highways that has stretched the available road capacity, as well as driven up our crash rates. Eric spoke about the crash and fatality statistics specific to TxDOT's Odessa district, and I'd like to provide you some context on a little broader basis for the entire Permian Basin. Sadly, between January and August of this year, there were 253 fatalities in the Permian Basin area on our roads. However, there is a silver lining, and we track these and we celebrate them because we saw a 4.5% decrease compared to the same period last year overall. We also saw a 3.2% decrease in unrestrained passenger fatalities in this area, which means more drivers are using their seatbelts and making it home at the end of the day. I want to just share something with regard to seatbelts. This is one we can fix immediately, that we should not lose a life to somebody being unrestrained. And last year alone, if you look at the total fatalities on last year, if you take speeding and unrestrained deaths, the contributing factors, that was half of our total fatalities last year. So we definitely have the ability, each one of us, to have an impact and make a difference on this task. All that said, we still have a lot of work to do. Among the fatalities in the Permian Basin, 66 occurred at intersections, and that's a 25% increase over the previous year. And fatalities involving commercial motor vehicles saw an increase of 13% to 78 fatalities year over year. Having the data and the specifics to identify and track the cause and the locations of these crashes helps us, TxDOT, tailor efforts to increase safety. With this information, TxDOT can engineer projects to improve the risks, and we can work with our partners, like each of you, to educate drivers and encourage better habits. Together, we can focus on reducing serious crashes and fatalities. And speaking of safety projects, TxDOT's making some serious safety investments in this region through our Unified Transportation Program. The UTP, as Eric shared with you in just a little bit ago, is our 10-year plan. So every year we focus on a 10-year plan and look out. It helps us plan, and it also helps us authorize the distribution of the dollars expected to be received and where they will be received over the next 10 years. We approved this year's, the 2023 UTP, just a few months ago in August. Within the 2023 UTP, the Commission authorized $600 million from Category 12, which is strategic priority and also 100% Commission discretion, to fund specific highway improvement projects in the Permian Basin region. We're targeting this $600 million investment toward projects located in TxDOT's Odessa, San Angelo, Lubbock, and El Paso districts. Several of these projects have already let for construction. However, $528 million remain programmed in projects that are currently still under development. Funding will go toward projects like widening portions of the I-20 corridor in Midland, Odessa region, which you saw some details on from Eric, as well as adding passing lanes to SH-137 in Glasscock and Reagan counties, and other improvements throughout the region. That's just part of the investments we're making in the Permian Basin. Over the next 10 years, we've approved a total of $8.3 billion for the Permian Basin region. That's a $1 billion increase from last year's UTP in just 1 year. But wait, there's more. For the fiscal year 2023 and 2032, the Texas Transportation Commission has allocated $2.5 billion in Category 11, which is specific to the energy sector program. This funding is allocated to TxDOT districts to address specific roadways impacted by traffic in 5 energy-producing regions: the Permian Basin, Anadarko Basin, Eagle Ford Shale, Barnett Shale, and Haynesville-Bossier Shale. The program focuses on roadway safety and pavement preservation, and to keep up with the evolving and unique demands in the Texas energy regions, we assess each of these needs and program it annually. To accommodate this, our impacted districts prioritize corridors with the most impacted by energy sector activities, and then we collect these priorities and we realign and allocate to projects according to the need and funding availability. These reviews are critical to being able to deliver the right projects at the right location in Texas's energy corridor regions. This also is something that we will constantly look at heat maps on where the fatalities are occurring. So it's capacity, it's the impact of the roads, and then every year we are able to prioritize and reprioritize to address the highest and best use. Since our mission at TxDOT is connecting you with Texas, we're also working hard to ensure every region in the region stays connected. That's why we've dedicated more than $12.2 billion to statewide connectivity projects over the next 10 years. This includes $5.3 billion to better connect our major statewide highways that pass through our urban areas, and $6.9 billion to better connect major statewide highways in our rural areas. We're working hard to connect communities throughout the state to allow for a more efficient flow of freight, as well as safer movement of daily drivers. To help that effort, we're investing a historic level of funding of $14 billion for projects in rural areas, specific to rural areas. Since fiscal year 2015, we've completed more than 258 rural connectivity projects, which is an investment of $7.7 billion, and we have another 127 projects worth $7 billion currently under construction. In addition to historic levels of funding for rural areas, the 2023 UTP also includes more than $14 billion in direct and indirect safety investment. Safety is TxDOT's highest priority. Every project that we fund and that is delivered and that goes into the UTP and that is let has a safety component. And our goal when engineering these projects is to make our roads as forgiving as we possibly can. While we work to influence driver behavior, the engineering aspect we know is something that we can impact today and we can impact now, and it's completely within our control. As I mentioned earlier, our efforts from engineering improvements on the roadways to education efforts in the public are all aimed at ending the streak of daily deaths on our roads. In just 4 days, this coming Monday, we'll face another tragic anniversary. As we've mentioned, November 7th, 2000 was the last deathless day on Texas roads. So I just want to stop for 1 second because we think about 22 years. In 2000, the iPhone wasn't invented. We couldn't even think about it. We had no concept. Text messaging, which is a major form of communication, didn't exist. So think about just what goes on in your life and how long this really is. So since that date, we've lost nearly 79,000 lives on our roads. And to put that in perspective, that's about 70% of the population of Odessa. And I think these tables have roughly seven to 8 seats. So think about one person surviving from every table over the last 22 years. Imagine that if 7 out of every 10 people in Odessa didn't make it home at the end of the day. Last year, 4,495 people died on Texas roads. That was the most deaths we've had since 1981, which preceded the first seatbelt law, which went into effect in 1985. In 2021, we had the second deadliest year since TxDOT started tracking this information in 1940. And so far, in 2022, this year alone, we've lost more than 3,400 people to fatal crashes. And we must remember that these are not just numbers. They're mothers, they're fathers, they're somebody's daughter, somebody's son. Gets me every time. Sorry. And their friends and their family that didn't come home at the end of the day and will be forever missed. They are empty chairs at our dinner table this Thanksgiving. So think about that. There will be seats at family dinners this Thanksgiving because somebody didn't make it home. That's why in 2019, the commission adopted 2 really aggressive and ambitious goals. And I am told often they are not possible, and this is where my stubborn streak comes in. Because we have made a commitment to cut the number of deaths on our Texas roads by half by 2035, and to eliminate traffic deaths completely on Texas roads by 2050. To aid in this effort and to get the momentum going, the commission several years ago committed $600 million, $300 million each fiscal year in 2020 and 21 to help us gain momentum in these goals. TxDOT uses crash data to make safety improvements like adding rumble strips and median barriers, improving intersections like adding turn lanes or signals and other technology to make our roads safer and more forgiving, adding shared paths for bikes and pedestrians, and deploying new technology that will increase safety, like curve delineation, which are the arrows that alert drivers to slow down as they come up on a curve. As part of our Road to Zero safety initiative, TxDOT has completed 88 projects throughout the state, with more than 120 additional projects still under construction. And we will continue to track these locations and these projects throughout the years to see and ensure that what we did is reducing fatalities. And if it's not, we will continue to readjust and make other changes to those areas. Last year, we also formed a new TxDOT and MPO safety task force, which Commissioner New, who also sits on the commission, and I are both a part of. The purpose of the task force was to ensure that we have shared and targeted focus on safety funding, to bring stakeholders together, to identify new and innovative solutions and ideas, to increase communication among the partners, and finally to ensure that we're measuring our progress. I'd like to also offer a special thank you to the Permian Basin MPO for being an active participant in this task force. They bring a unique perspective to the issues impacting MPOs and improving road safety, and their participation is greatly appreciated. We've also encouraged outside organizations to join us kind of from afar, but we call that the Friends of the MPO Safety Task Force. Friends of the task force partner with us and provide ideas and information sharing and help us include and pass on these safety messages. If anyone here, any of the organizations, is interested in becoming a friend of the task force, we can provide you the proper contact information, and we'd love to see you. We meet about every other month, virtual and in person. I've recently been told that the Permian Strategic Partnership has expressed their interest in joining, and we'd like to thank them in advance for all the good things we know they'll do. We educate through our public awareness campaigns the driving public in many ways, and those campaigns you'll see all over, and you'll recognize a lot of them, but it's be safe and drive smart. This discourages unsafe driving habits, which include speeding. The click it or ticket, which we've talked about, to buckle up. Drive sober, no regrets. Talk, text, crash. And that encourages folks to put down the phone and keep your eyes on the road. And of course, end the streak, which encompasses all of these things to keep our roads safer. But it's going to take more funding, more safety projects, and education to end the streak and reduce fatalities on our roads. It's going to take every driver, every drive, every day, committing to safer driving habits. When I was appointed to the commission in 2016, as I shared with you earlier, end the streak didn't mean as much to me or have as much weight on my heart as it does today. I didn't think one person can make a difference, but you can. And that's because if each one of us takes ownership and each one of us commits to make sure that we impact our circle of influence, we can accomplish this important task. Here's what we need you to do. We need you to do and pass on. We need you to buckle up. Everyone, every ride, including the back seat and including just the 1 mile drive to the neighbor's house. Drive sober. Don't drive if you're under the influence of anything that impairs you, alcohol, drugs, or even prescription drugs. Pay attention. This is probably one of the most dangerous ones. I drive a lot on our roads between Austin and Houston and Dallas. I've seen people watch videos, eating, putting on makeup, not looking. I've actually saw one person, I wasn't sure if it was an autonomous vehicle because they must have been bending down to pick something up off the floor, because when I looked over, there was nobody in the car. So you have to pay attention. Drive an appropriate speed. The speed limit's there to keep you safe, but it's not always right if the weather's not right. And avoid distractions, whatever distracts you, and talk it up, make it social. In conclusion, I really encourage all road users to care about ending this streak. It is easy to talk about it when you walk out. Your day's going to get busy. But one of the things I've asked is, if the person in the car next to you was somebody that you loved, what would you change to make sure they got home safe at the end of the day? And whatever that is, make the commitment to do it every day, all the time, and don't deviate from it. That's the one thing that we need to do to end this streak. It'll take all of us. We can do it together, and you all are a great start to that, because you are an organization that is specifically created and dedicated to road safety, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for that. So thank you very much for letting me speak with you today.